My name is John Narducci, and my mother and father came from Maglione, Italy. That's just south of Rome.
John Narducci was born in 1921 and lived in St. Paul's, former Little Italy. Little Italy sat alongside the Mississippi River, where families, mostly Italians, lived in older homes that did not have indoor plumbing.
Well, my generation all spoke Italian because the parents, that's all they would speak was Italian. The people would make they'd make their spaghetti too. They would roll it and bake it and cut it all up and make it that way. A lot of them that wanted to make it from scratch.
There were 8 children in John's family, 5 boys and 3 girls. The children in Little Italy played baseball in the street and football. They fished and swam in the river. They also held penny carnivals that supported the Booster Club by selling things for 1 penny and by performing in plays as well.
We used to go to 2 theaters, the Garrick Theater and the Lyceum. We'd go to the Lyceum when they had vaudeville in the show, and then we'd go to the Garrick Theater when they had just a movie. See?
Did you prefer vaudeville to movies or movies?
Yeah, because it was entertaining and it had music and stuff, But it was worthwhile. It was 15 cents to go to it. But the vaudeville shows were pretty good. And then we'd have a feast, the Feast of St. Joseph, and they would have a fire, and all the old Italians would come there, and they would all sing in Italian, and say prayers and stuff like that.
What do you remember about the Depression?
It was tough. I know that we ran charge accounts in both stores. They had Milamanas and Vanelli's. Them were the 2 stores that did most of the business. But everybody had accounts there. That's the only way they survived.
I wonder how they made a living then.
Mm-hmm.
And my father, he dug ditches for the city for $1. I think it was $1 a day or something like that. That's why they carried the pick and shovel with them all the time. My father used to have it on his back. But the times were good down there. We had a lot of fun.
With the passing of time came adulthood, and along with it came the war. At the age of 20, John was drafted into the Army. He trained as a medic, but didn't care for that, so he went to gunnery school and became a waist gunner on a B-17G instead.
And so the very first mission I made was a mission called Wilhelmshaven. And I'll never forget it because we were flying in formation. We had a tier, one here, and one there, and had about 10 planes, and they were all boxed. But anyway, I looked on a plane on our left wing. I heard a puff. I was seeing a puff of smoke, and so I called the pilot on the intercom. And I says, "Hey, Skip, what was that?" That was the plane on our left wing. It just got hit by a fighter, blew it right up in the sky. All 10. Just, good God, what the hell did I get into here?
Next, they did a mission to Bremen, then another mission to Bordeaux.
We crash landed in Bordeaux because we got shot up pretty bad. I got out of the plane. I couldn't believe it. The stabilizer had a hole. You could have drove a truck through it, And the tail gunner, if it had been that much lower, to blow his head right off, But we were lucky we made it back, and so they assigned us a new plane called the Lucky Lady. The story there is the guy that I just talked to last week. I talked to him. The gunner, the radio man, was responsible for saving my life, really, because we got hit real hard. And I called to the pilot, and I said to the pilot, "We have some heavy vapor trails." I said, "Vapor trails are pretty heavy, aren't they?" He said, "That's not vapor trails, that's smoke. Get out." So I went to the door. I was in the waist. I pulled the door off, and it was stuck. And we were carrying a photographer with us that day, taking pictures of the bombing. His job was just to take pictures. And so I went like this with my fist to kick the door. So he kicked the door and he went out. And then I happened to turn my head, and my radio man's back of me. He's going to go. The kid, he went out first, and I was standing right in the doorway. And he's going like this all the time. He's pointing, and he's pointing at, what is he pointing at? And I looked over, and I said, I don't have my chute on. So I grabbed it, snapped it on, and dropped right off, and that's all I remember. But he saved my life. In fact, when I come to, I had the handle. They have a regular handle that, and I had it so tight in my hand I couldn't even release it. You know, I looked at that and I looked up. I said, oh, you know. And then finally I landed and got picked up by the Germans.
After interrogation, the POWs were shipped to Stalag 17.
The soup that they served had bugs on it. The first night I was there,
Protein.
they said, I said, bugs? Ooh, I ain't going to eat that junk. Does anybody want it? And there were about 20 guys jumped to get it, you know. Well, after about 3 weeks, I ate it, you know, because it was either that or starve, you know. Toward the end of the war, and this was in May, the Germans marched all of the guys that were in the camp out, and we marched from Krems, Austria up to Branna, which was about 250 miles. In the march to Branna, we saw 50 POWs marching by us, you know, and these were a bunch of Jews. And they had, I said, where are you from? They are from all over. They were from different countries. But we found out, we heard machine gun fire. We found out later they killed all 50 of them. On that march, we went right by the concentration camp called Mauthausen. And you could look through the fence. We weren't supposed to look. The guards told us, don't be looking through there, you know. And so, but you glanced, you could see them. They were just laying down, dying. Around the 3rd of May or 4th of May, we hear rumbling and firing in the background. And so what's coming up, all of a sudden we see this Jeep come in, American Jeep, come in with a captain on it and a 50 caliber on the back of the Jeep. And he said, what's going on here? He says, well, we're all POWs here. We're all sleeping on the ground. We had no barracks or nothing. And anyway, just a minute. He picked up the phone, he called back and says, hold your fire. These are all prisoners of war up here. They thought they were a bunch of Germans up there. They were going to blow us right out, you know. It's a good thing, but this guy, a lot of guts.
After liberation, John was shipped to France, then back to the States.
And when I come home from the service, when I was discharged, I asked my mother, Dostali Boost. The Boost was the book where they kept all the things. And she gave me the 2 books from Lamanas and Benelli's. So I went to Lamanas, and I says, you have a bill here from my parents. I was still in uniform. I said, I'm here to pay it, you know, and it was $80-some or $70-some. Then I went to Benelli's, and I said, La Boost, I'm a La Boost. Give me the book. And he gave me the book, and it was $70-some. And so I gave him $70. So I what does it say on the bottom? That's what I'll pay. You know?
Buongiorno!
Hey, how you doing?
Narducci.
I want the book. I'm here to pay it.
Oh, la Busta! Oh, Grazie. Glad to see you back.
That made my mother real happy.
It was after a night out on the town that John stopped into Mickey's Diner around 2 o'clock in the morning. Just a few miles away at Holman Field, Geraldine Lamoro was getting off work where she had worked overtime. Jerry worked at the modification center that refitted aircraft for the war effort. Still clad in coveralls, she too stepped into Mickey's Diner just after 2 a.m. That night, John walked Jerry home. A year and a half later, April 19th, 1947, John and Jerry married. Together, they went on to have 4 children, 3 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. John's career has been in sales, where he began as a door-to-door salesman. He went on to become a car salesman, where he has worked at the same dealership for over 35 years. Throughout his career, he has won many outstanding awards. Over the years, John and Jerry have enjoyed family and friends as well as traveling. One of their many trips together includes Paris, as well as a poignant trip back to Stalag 17 in Austria, now a barren stretch of land. They have also attended many of the annual POW conventions, always held on May 3rd, the anniversary of liberation. At 84, John continues doing the work he enjoys, selling Jaguars. The Star Tribune featured John in an article aptly titled Inexhaustible Drive that hangs prominently at the dealership. In the spring, John and Jerry will celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary.